So
All
if
right.
you don't, I don't care. You can start.
I already did.
As
Well,
long
that's
as
good.
as long as it's not in a syringe that you have to inject into your mouth.
Oh, and you should see the stuff because when it falls out, it looks like somebody had diarrhea on the. Like it's
Gross.
green.
What? Are we
It's
talking?
The rabbit stuff.
the rabbit's
Oh, I thought we were talking about your medicine. I'm like, wow, girl, there are other ways to get vitamin D.
the food that we had to feed Charlie through the syringe. It's a
Oh,
green powder, and then you mix it with water and you put it in the syringe. That's what we were talking about.
So Tina and I were talking about the value added nature of our Patreon page and what content people are getting for their $2 a month. So I'm sure that this feels like an added value to our loyal subscribers that they get to hear about green bunny medicine.
Yeah,
that looks like duty.
It's literally called critical care. Like that's the name of it.
Well, since we didn't get to watch Jennifer's video, I guess.
Oh, I just made it unlisted. So
okay.
when we're all done here. I was going to send it out beforehand, but my aunt is coming at 1, which I didn't think would be a problem because we've been doing so good on time. And then of course today we're a little chatty. So, but anyway.
Oh no, I just realized I didn't ever look at Tina's because she told me she was going to be doing an update or kind of whatever. But I know.
Oh wait, I didn't get it. When was the update?
I think that we can still discuss what she wants discussed though.
Okay.
I sent the update 10 minutes after I sent the first one, so it's not a problem.
Okay.
And the update only had the instructions. It didn't have anything new. So.
Oh, at the beginning?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So do you
That's
want...
it.
We can,
Good job, Jamie.
We can stop this one and start a new one if you want and take time to read it, or...
Like, how long will it take me to read it? Is it incredibly long?
No, but I don't think that's probably good Patreon people just watching us read.
Value added content.
Value added
Jamie
content.
stare gate mouth. Well, is there something else that you all can talk about while I get caught up and I can just be muted here?
Well, we already talked about the poop medicine, so I mean, I'm kind of fresh out.
Our lives are complete.
Right? If we had actual interesting lives, then it's possible that we could maybe talk about something now, but let's see. I gave up coffee, so there's nothing left in my life that's worth living for. Just kidding.
I don't know what the point would be.
You know, I don't know that it's so much the coffee as it is the mocha that I like or the hazelnut that I enjoy. Like I like sweet coffee. So one of my former students who she's super great. She is really successful in the public relations field. Anyway, she tweeted me back when I put that tweet out there, and she's like, I drink my coffee black, but I use flavored coffees. Maybe that'll work for you. So she's like, I have some really good ones for you. Let's meet up in Lansing. So we might be doing that this next week. But part of me is kind of like, I don't know. Like I could put cream in it. Cream's fine. But it's just, for me, I just like the sweetness. So I think it's one of those things that if I'm maintaining my weight, like, you know, if I get to the place where I'm just maintaining, then I'll be okay. But with the trying to get, you know, all the...
You don't have a weight goal. You've got a back to coffee goal.
Yes. I might be able to reach that goal a lot faster.
Yes.
I've been trying to keep my carbs down under 130 a day for my diabetes. And so I'm being really picky on where I spend those. So, you know, my hazelnut creamer, I love my hazelnut creamer, but one serving size on the bottle doesn't do it.
And you don't like the sugar-free hazelnut,
no,
right?
I don't. I mean, like you're learning, the sugar-free just affects your blood sugar just pretty much the same way anyway.
Yep.
So basically, I found this creamer at Aldi's called Natural Bliss, and it only has 5 carbs per serving, which is really good. But the problem is, it takes more than one serving to get it where I want it.
Oh.
So I've been trying, when I am having coffee, I've been trying to keep it under 2 servings of the creamer. So that's only 10 carbs. But it's just not the same, and so I've just kind of lost the enthusiasm for that morning cup of coffee because it's not the same, and I don't like it black. And I've tried it with just the heavy cream, or just half and half, or with just milk, and it just doesn't.
Right. You know, milk's got a ton of hidden carbs too, so just be careful
Yeah,
there.
I know. I've been counting. I have my little thing, and I put everything I eat into it. It tells me I need carbs. So,
you know, I try to keep it 25 carbs a day. So I feel your pain. But you get to a point where you're like, is it like for me, like the coffee, people are like, oh, I could never do that. You know what? I've been through so much, and giving up sugar, people said, oh, I could never do that. I did it. So to me, it's like coffee is just one more thing. If that's what's keeping me from being healthy, fine. Healthy means more to me than my coffee that I was addicted to. So you just get to the point where it's like, you know, it's just not worth it anymore. So I may never go back to coffee. I mean, what I was saying about maintenance, like when I am at where I feel healthy, I may be able to have an occasional sweet coffee without it like wrecking me. But I don't know. So we'll see.
But sometimes you have that one sweet coffee, and then the cravings come back.
Yes. Even when I drink Diet Pop, I'm hungry all day long, and then I have to just I have to fight the cravings. Where when I don't have the sweets, even the artificial sweets, I'm good for the day. So why am I doing that to myself? Right? Like right now, you know, I've also started working in intermittent fasting, which I kind of did anyway, but like I'm lengthening my fasts. And I can't believe the energy I have now. I can't believe how much better I feel. And I know I have a fatty liver from all those years of abuse of sugar abuse. And it's one of the fastest ways to heal your liver. And I can't believe the difference immediately that I feel from doing that. So it's not even worth it to me. Some of these things that I thought I could never give up, I don't even want to go back to some of them.
Yeah. You know, I've never been a coffee drinker. A few months ago, I was trying to drink bulletproof coffee because I was starting intermittent fasting too, and it just never stuck with me. But it's like when I did used to go to the bar, and I'd see people throwing these shots back, and their face would be like, ugh, like they were dying, but they kept doing it to themselves. And people who drink coffee, they can't drink it unless it's a sugar, syrup, basically. Why drink it in the first place if it's so difficult?
Because without the sugar, it's so tasty. Like I agree. Drinking black coffee, people are like, oh, you get used to it eventually. Why would I want to? Like if I can live without it, if I don't like it now, then let's just not do it. So and I've been drinking green tea, so that's been helping. Jamie, you're still on mute if you're trying to talk.
Okay. So sorry to butt in. First of all, there's a difference in coffees, just like there might be a difference in wine. So like I can tolerate not like quite black coffee, but with just a little cream. The way my husband takes it, I enjoy the coffee that he brings home from the pilot, independent of sugar or anything, because it is kind of like a thing where you can get kind of an acquired taste. And also some people like it for the pick me up. So that's the why. Even though why bother introducing something into your life if you're content without it? Right. So I've got to the randomizer. Rhonda, Jen, Jamie, Tina.
Me? I never go first.
Well, there's a first time for everything.
See, they put you first, and now I'm last.
Oh.
You're never last in my heart, Tina.
So, I really appreciate you guys giving me just that little bit of time because I knew I was familiar with the work, but I have so much to say. So too bad it isn't Tina first.
Why don't we do Tina first? She doesn't want to be last.
Can we do Tina first? Do you mind, Rhonda?
No.
Good, because it's all like fresh in my brain now from just now looking at it. Tina, you were pretty clear in your description of what you were looking for. Does anybody need her to verbally review what that is?
No, but she might want to just quickly, because if people aren't looking at this, if Patreon subscribers haven't downloaded this yet and they're just listening to us.
Okay, so I found this thing how to do a manuscript audit from that editors do. Like, so when you send your manuscript to an editor, obviously they don't sit there and read the whole thing to try to decide whether or not they want to move forward. they do an audit of your manuscript. And so this thing basically teaches you how to do it yourself and look at it like an editor would look at it, and look for the things that an editor would be looking for. So that's what I did. And one of the main things was, is your main problem crystal clear from the very start? Does it have narrative drive? Do you know the why, your character's why? And is the main problem, not the problem, the opposition to the goal clear from the very start? So when I did my audit of my first chapter, not the prologue, I'm still going to keep the prologue, but that first chapter, the answer to that questions in my mind were no. It doesn't. No to all three of those questions. So when that happens, they said, okay, do you need to start your story in a different place? So I have a scene that I want to move to the beginning and rewrite a little bit. So instead of the old woman at the fire telling a story, she's going to tell about a vision she had of Angelica going on this quest that she's about to go on. So that's my tentative idea of what I think would work to answer, so that I have all three of those things in the opening chapter.
So you only get the first chapter?
I'm sorry?
So you're saying that by the end of the first chapter, the entire problem of the novel needs to be clear to the reader?
Well, they need to know what the stakes are, yeah, in the first chapter.
And can you tell me what you feel the problem is, what the stakes are? Can you do that quickly, you think?
Angelica believes that she is beyond redemption.
Okay.
God will not forgive her for what she did. And so that's like the underarching problem, and the overarching problem is the problem of there is a savior out there that has sacrificed himself for the sins of the entire community that she lives in, and they are trying to earn their salvation through sacrifices. So it's kind of like a double. Does it make sense?
Yep. Got it. All right. You in the booth now, lady?
Yep.
Anyone want to go first?
I will go first in saying that I would have requested in this particular case that we deviate from our format and that we just have a conversation with the author about this, because she's not looking for our typical sort of feedback. Like, I think this needs to be a conversation back and forth with her input, because I personally feel like that is a pretty tall order to pretty much like accomplish that. And I think I don't understand the goal, because I mean, how do you do an introduction to a world and an introduction to people and everything while at the same time communicating the whole message of the book in the first chapter? Right. So I feel like I don't really understand the objective enough to tell her whether she's done this, what I think is an impossible thing to do.
Right. I think it's possible that she doesn't understand, or she's misunderstanding what the objective was. When I'm reading this, when I'm reading the questions that she added on here, I honestly, on mine here, I scribbled out no that she wrote in all caps here, and I wrote yes. I feel like this first chapter shows us what it needs to show to be a first chapter. When she told me, I thought she was going to tell me that she felt that the goal was something different than what she said. But when she said that that Angelica feels like she is unredeemable, she does that in here. You don't have to like lay the whole like plot out for us in the first chapter. You have to like give us like inklings. Like, we see enough of Angelica that we feel bad for her. We feel like that you know, who would ever think that God couldn't forgive them, and that made this choice as a little girl, and it's not her fault. You know what I mean? Like, I already feel all those things for her in this thing, but I'm with you, Jamie. I say we let her out and we discuss it with her, because I agree. I think that it's bigger than.
Yeah. When Mom and I were talking with Tina the other night, we went over this, and I think I pretty much gave her my entire opinion on this already. So if you guys want to let her out, I'm fine with that. I think, just to paraphrase, I think she did a wonderful thing by making this the first chapter.
Yeah,
and I think it improves a lot.
Yeah, and can I just say, wow, the writing is really elevated. This
Yes.
is really way so beyond that first. Like, this is really good. Is all I want to say about it. So, okay, so I think we let her out and let's have a conversation.
Okay.
So come on out, Tina.
Okay.
We're not doing this for Jen, just so you know.
Oh, great. All right. So Tina, I think that when you read those questions, you felt like they were like, oh my gosh, I have to do all of this in the first chapter or it's not going to be a successful chapter. And I don't agree with that. And I also don't think that, I think that you were taking it very literally. That's probably not the right term, but like, I think that what you shows us the overall theme of this book is that Angelica is this girl in this world. You set the world up enough for us to get it, that she doesn't fit the world or whatever, and that that her, like her dad is going to try to marry her off to somebody that she obviously doesn't want to be married off to, and that she doesn't feel like God is going to be able to forgive her. And I feel like that is an overall theme of your book. So I feel like you succeeded in that.
Okay.
What did you feel was not successful?
I guess I felt like that first chapter, nothing is mentioned about her going on a quest to find the missing Bible.
That's not sorry.
Go ahead.
That's not the theme though. That's the answer. That's the solution. Like when you said that the Savior, I wrote this down here, Savior equals salvation. That's the answer. That's not the overall theme. So what you're thinking is you have to lay out the whole story in the first chapter and then tell us the story. And that's not it.
That's what it sounded like. So that's why, when I asked her to recap what she was expecting, I'm like, that's what I was hearing that she thought she had to accomplish. And I'm thinking, how could you even do that? So this is very helpful, I think, to maybe.
Right. And who would want to read that book? If you already told me what's going to happen, then thank you, done. I don't have to read the rest of the book. You're supposed to draw me in and make me like, oh my gosh, how is she ever going to be forgiven? Like,
Mm-hmm.
And imagine someone picking up your book that's not a Christian, that is like, oh, another dystopian book. I like dystopian books. I'm going to pick this up. And now imagine, how would you lead someone to Christ that doesn't know about him? Angelica does not know about Christ. So this novel is leading her to Christ. And in essence, you're leading your reader to Christ as well. You would never do it, boom, right here. Well, this is what I know that, like, the only way to do it would be such like a not natural way. Like, well, I know there's probably a savior out there somewhere that could actually like, you can't do that. Like,
I wasn't going to do that. I was going to have her have a vision and say, you're going on a journey, and you're going to go to the village where the wigwams touch the sky, and there you're going to find what your heart has always needed.
I would say
soul is always needed, or something like that.
Nope, this is better because I want to care about her before I want to care about her vision and her journey. Why do I care that she's going to this wigwams that touch the sky place if I don't give a hoot about her and what she's all about and her pain? And so I am in agreement that this is the better, because I was going to ask you, why would you start with the hooligan camp? And that answers it, is because you wanted to get that vision in there sooner. But I think this is way better. You're connecting with Angelica. You feel like you could be Angelica. You understand why she's unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it as an opener.
And to be honest, I'm not a fan of the hooligan scene, but I've not read your edited version. This is different than what we first saw. So I might be a fan afterwards. But the hooligan scene seemed very contrived, the first reading of it. Mm-hmm. Now, but since then, you've talked to us about how you've really learned the difference between the plot and the story, where you had the plot. And as you're telling me you want to bring the hooligan scene in here, I'm feeling in my mind, you're plotting. You're getting the plot in here, but you're not bringing the story in.
Right. Well, if I don't use the hooligan scene as my opener, I'm probably cutting it. Because the only reason that I added it in there is because when I was looking at the story structure for the hero's journey, one of the things that it required, and I hate to use the word required, but I don't know how else to explain it. It was that your main character denies the call. Mm-hmm. And that was my way of her denying the call, like she ran off instead of going where she needed to go. So it doesn't serve the story.
Oh, you didn't think so? See, because I thought if you went through it with an edited where you were doing the story instead of the plot, it could be very effective because I loved the details of the little children running around the fish camp. This is when the old lady came and told the story by the fire, right? Like, I thought it had a lot of potential. Like, so whatever. I'm just saying, like, don't keep it the way that it was. But if you have since revised it and it's now more of this storyteller kind of a thing, it probably works better than you think it does. But I'm sorry, because I don't want to give you more work or throw you off track or.
No, maybe I'll submit that edited version.
Yeah, that would be
see
good.
what you guys think, because maybe I'm being too critical of myself right now. I'm trying not to look at it as a writer. I'm trying to look at it as an editor, and I'm not an editor, so it's a little bit tricky. But
well, I'm glad that you took some time away from it then, so you could be a little removed. So good for you.
Yeah. Okay, so now I have a lot to think about.
Do you need more feedback from us? Do you have questions? Or?
No, not really. I mean, if you all agree, I don't know. Rhonda hasn't really said anything again. Do you agree with what they're saying, Rhonda? Or
I completely agree with what they're saying. Like I was saying the other night, I think that choosing to have this as the first chapter is the best thing you could have done. I love it. Angelica, I never really felt connected to in anything I read before. And now I think Jamie said the same thing I feel, is that I do feel like I'm getting ready for an adventure now.
Okay.
Yeah, the writing, Tina, is way like you've really done a lot of hard work. It's very evident. Don't feel like the time has been wasted, because it's very evident that you've been working hard.
Yep.
Really, really good work.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm kind of glad that I don't have to go figure out a new beginning.
Oh yeah,
that's actually kind of a relief.
Yeah, the beginning is rough.
Yeah.
So that makes me suddenly last. How did that happen? I don't even know.
Oh my gosh. I think we should just flip the whole thing. Just
all right. So John Rhonda. What were you looking for? You said just general, however you would feel about a finished work, right?
Yes, we are considering this finished unless it has got some sort of a critical flaw.
Find the critical flaw.
Yes.
Oh man, I still have that picture of that tube of cheese on my one tab here. So.
That's awesome.
Did you see it, Jennifer?
Ad.
I did not see it. Where did you put it? On Facebook?
In our Facebook Messenger thing. Sorry, our subscribers don't even know what we're talking about. We're just talking about processed cheese, how it used to come in this like cheese loaf log thing.
Oh my gosh.
Whatever. Yeah,
you don't remember that?
No, and you guys ate that?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. On Sociables and chicken and a biscuit.
All right, I gotta share this. This has definitely have to be something that share screen for our. All right, let me make it bigger. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen, wait till you see this thing.
And it was so beautiful too, how it looked when it came out. It was like fancy, like fancy ribbons of cheese.
Yeah, because before you had to slice your cheese, and who wants to do that?
Don't cut the cheese.
Oh my gosh. Right. Okay, here it is. Squeeze, everybody squeeze this craft sharp stuff that comes out. What?
Oh, Rhonda, look, they put it on a Dorito.
Oh, what?
Yep, see right there.
Why didn't I never do that? Oh my word.
Golly. All right, I gotta stop sharing screen.
All right. I'm lying. I'm stalling because I'm having a hard time pulling up Rhonda's doodad, and I'm irritated with myself because I really like Rhonda's thing. I can go first. We can start talking about it. Yeah. So
all right, go into isolation, Rhonda.
Okay, bye.
Okay, I loved it. I have very little. There are a few editing things that, like, of course, that I see, like he said shouldn't be capitalized and that kind of stuff. But I love that she gave us the fake out with the first chapter of this, where we're like, oh my gosh, she's being chased by a cop, and it was just her old boyfriend or something, or someone that broke her heart. Which, of course, I'm all like, oh, he broke her heart. So I'm like, all digging into it. Meat. I really don't even meat suggestion. A couple times she mentions his hat, and I think this would be a great place to add some more description. For example, like, I know we read that the cop was the lights were flashing or whatever, but it would be a great place in one of the times that she mentions his hat that it would be like, instead of calling it his hat, say the brim of his state trooper cap, whatever, or if he's like a county sheriff or whatever, the color of it, like just to give us a little bit more. Like, I know it's raining and like that, but like give me some more visual. I don't know what this guy looks like at all, but maybe that's your intent. But I would like a little bit more description in this just to get myself into the scene some more.
Okay, I just have to correct you. You know that his dimple is bigger and badder than ever before. You do know that.
I did see that. I did, which I've never been attracted to a dimple in a chin, but apparently that's a soft spot for this woman. Like,
it's a sinkhole. It's not even a dimple anymore.
A sinkhole. So.
Oh, I'm just kind of having fun, actually, because I do like dimples. So anyway, when you said you didn't know what he looked like, I just had to giggle about that.
But is it a dimple when it's in the chin? Do they call it a
I think
dimple there too?
son has dimples in his cheeks, and I think he's got his chin one. I don't notice as much as his little cheek dimple, but yeah, they call it a dimple in the chin, right? Is that
maybe
not
it wasn't
right?
chin? Was it cheek? Gosh, I read it as chin, so that just shows you.
I just know that I read his dimple that seemed like it got bigger over the years. Is all that I remember. I don't remember it saying where it is.
Well, if it was a cheek dimple, then I'm all in, because I'm also a sucker for those as well.
I know, Tina, don't say it.
What?
Which cheek?
Oh,
I knew it.
Oh, golly. Moving on.
Not that kind of story.
Gosh, you know that this group is rotten if I'm the voice of reason. Because in most other circles, I'm not the voice of reason. I'm the problem.
Okay, so I mean, I want to say I loved when she gave us the backstory about the gravely ill aunt. So my bread is that is wonderful. Her great aunt is gravely ill, and that's why she's back in town, right? Mm-hmm. I loved it. It was simple and concise and gave us information without kind of droning on and making us feel like, I got to read through all this backstory. Perfect amount.
I love that. Can I say something real quick? I'm glad you brought that up. On the third page, the last paragraph. Okay, so right before the last paragraph, you go into Pappy's for the party, and then she goes in the paragraph explaining who Pappy is and about the party. Just very simple. And so I know on the Postcast we've talked before about not telling but showing, but this is a perfect example of when telling is completely appropriate. Because as I read that, are you going to Pappy's for the party? I actually, in mind, thought, is she going to tell us about Pappy? I literally thought that. And then I read the next line. I'm like, perfect. She just told us who it was and then moved on. Because you don't always have to like elaborate so much on stuff. So I'm glad you brought that up. I had that marked as good. I forgot to say it. Sorry.
Yeah. So, I mean, I do have an overall meet. I have just a feeling that this is a little too clinical for me. I feel like if you run into an ex, there's going to be electricity in the air or a stirring on your insides. A couple of times she indicates that she can't look at him. Well, why? Like, that would be a really great place for her to insert, I can't look at him without remembering that time that we kissed her. Like, I don't even know. Sometimes I throw suggestions in here and I'm just saying something like this. You know what I mean?
No, like, or what if he was abusive? We have no idea if she doesn't want to look at him because he broke her heart because he married someone else, or because he was abusive and she had to leave him. We don't know. And we're not given any clue. So that's a really good piece of meat, actually.
Yeah. So when she put, she hoped to never see him again. Well, that's just kind of flapping in the breeze. Like, you can draw your own conclusions as to why she would never want to see him again, but just any kind of delicious little hint. You know what I mean? Like never hope to see those strong biceps, or just like, does she still think he's attractive, but is trying to fight it because he's not any good for her? Is it because he's married, but then it's revealed that, how does she feel about the fact that he's married, right? Like, she sees the ring, but there's not a lot of feeling in the piece. It's very clinical. He said this, then she said that, then he said this and she said that, and it's really missing feels for me.
She did say that when he leaned in, she instinctually leaned back. So for me, I wasn't looking for biceps like that. I'm thinking that something went south. I'm thinking that he was either abusive or was scary somehow. Like, I think she's scared of him. But it could be she leaned back because she knows he's married and she doesn't want to react. I don't know, because I agree with you. Ultimately, there's not enough hinting of what is going on. But it may not be biceps and things like that. It may be
right. It may be that he smells bad. Maybe he works at a pig farm, and when he leans in, she's like, "Pete."
When he's not a cop.
He lives on a pig farm.
Tina, you're being very quiet.
Well, you guys stole everything I was going to say, so.
Yeah, talk faster.
No, that's what I used to say when I didn't do my homework.
No, I'm just saying, you guys like nailed it for me. I wanted to know more about, like, okay, she's leaning back. Like that. I actually paused there and thought about what I thought she was leaning back for, what the reason was. So that's be my biggest meat. I absolutely love that. We were given the impression that she was like doing something criminal and the cops were after her. Mm-hmm. And then it was ex-boyfriend. So I loved that part. That was awesome.
Okay. And so basically I don't have any problems with the writing. I mean, I pointed out some, tense or whatever, just little piddly stuff like that. But overall, I just want more emotion in the piece. That's my meat. And otherwise it's great. Should we let her out?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you once again, ladies. I appreciate all of that. I appreciate that you thought it was great the way it is, but then I also really appreciate that you thought it needed a little bit more of the romancy part, because Mom and I both, that is our weak point. We don't write about romance really ever. And so that is something that we need to work on. So that'll be our focus on this. And then the piece that we submit next week, hopefully you will not have that feedback, because it'll be everything you need. I'm glad you like the dimple.
Was it the cheek or the chin? Did I misread it? It was the chin. Okay.
Yes. Sorry. I'm sorry. He might have one in another cheek though.
Here's a couple suggestions to just give us a little bit of like hint that it's romantic. Okay. How does he smell?
Like a pig farm.
No, but not if it's romantic. So she notices the dimple in his chin, but like, what does it bring up a memory of some sort? So things that like
looks like his butt.
You could even have him now. He leans in and she like leans back, and as he's talking, he could absentmindedly move her hair off her shoulder or something like that's not really appropriate. But because if they've had it, give us.
They used to be close,
right. And then as he does that, like have like she doesn't have to have shivers and all these things you see like in bad novels. She could just close her eyes for a moment and take a deep breath. Something that shows us that it may had an effect on her. Okay. Scent, any of the senses. Pick out a sense and just use it. You don't have to kill the chapter with it. Just give us something.
Okay.
Yeah, and very helpful. I found it interesting that you called it romancy parts, because like I feel like that kind of is locking you guys up from the get-go, because I was not thinking you need to make this more like a romance. I was thinking more like, I want to feel what the characters are. I want to know how the characters feel. So don't chain yourself to it has to be romancy, but just tell us, this stimuli comes and this is how I feel about it. And this stimuli comes and this is how I feel about it, right? If it's romantic, fine. If it's not, fine. But just more of that would make me happy with it.
Well, this isn't a romance. It's a cozy mystery, but that is like their former romantic feelings or whatever. And if you notice, there aren't usually too many comments on whether we do something, a stressful situation or adding mystery in, or maybe funny situations. Those, there are no comments on the description there, because I assume because it did what it needed to. But whenever there's a romancy thing, I completely acknowledge that we do need to work on that. So,
well, you need to tell your husbands that you need to do some research.
Okay,
we need to do a dimple inspection.
Well, seeing as how one of the co-writers' husbands is Rhonda's dad, I'm sure he probably doesn't look forward to that conversation.
Yeah.
Keep it to yourself, Mom.
Yeah, right. I do want to add one thing though, whether it's appropriate or not. Sorry, Jen. But you remember we were talking about nicknames earlier? Well, my brother, his best friend used to have a huge, like the biggest dimple, even when he was a little kid. And his friends used to call him Butt Chin.
Yeah.
Aw.
My
Yeah.
poor middle child, who is beautiful, if I do say so myself.
She is.
I have a little bit of one, and she has
cleft.
a little bit of one because of it. And she a cleft. You can see when I move a little
Mhm.
bit, I have it there.
Uh-huh.
And she, I don't know, about 6 months ago, told me how ugly she felt because of it.
Oh,
And I'm like, girl,
really?
you have
That's
no
so
idea.
sad.
Like, I didn't know if I should let her go on thinking she was ugly until she's 30 so that we can avoid the whole boy teenage thing.
Ah,
I didn't. I didn't.
aw.
So yeah, so it's just crazy how God has made us all perfect for who we are. And
Yeah.
yet we, especially women, we just tear ourselves down, even starting at
Mm.
10 years old. Oh, it
Mhm.
broke my heart. So
And all
yeah.
your girls are absolutely beautiful.
Oh,
Yes.
thank
Stunning,
you.
yeah.
Thanks. They get it from me. That's why I don't have any beauty.
Oh.
They,
Yeah.
they do.
Oh,
That
That's why I don't have any
nice.
beauty left. She didn't hear me
Nice.
say that.
I did.
That picture with you and your girls that you'd had taken recently, maybe for Easter?
She's taking pictures with her girls every day, so she
I
can't.
don't know.
Yeah.
No, not really.
They kind of looked like professional pictures, and it was you and your girls, and it was just really beautiful.
Oh,
I'll have to look for it.
thank you, Tina. I really appreciate that. That's very sweet.
Okay, so should we move along? I know we're on kind of a time crunch, so we want to make sure that we're so Rhonda, do you have any other questions for us? Does everybody feel like they
No.
said what they have to say?
Yes, you've given us something to work on, and I'm excited to get started on it. So thank you
I'm
very
excited to
much.
read the rest of this one.
Looking forward to more romancy parts.
Well, you may or may not be disappointed. I don't know.
You're
We'll
red
see.
as your shirt.
Depends on if we can get it written.
All right. So Jen,
All right,
feedback. This is
so
obviously Camp Nano
raw.
stuff.
Yep, Camp Nano, it's raw. I forgot to put that in the description on it. So yeah, so this is the second chapter. From again, it's raw, but you guys read last week about the wake, and then this is basically our knight in shining armor, whatever, leaving the wake. So just whatever you got. Obviously, Rhonda's got a lot to say, so we'll just wait.
All right. Isolation booth for you.
Okay.
What's up, Rhonda?
Well, I am feeling so connected to this, and it's only been 2 scenes. I mean, I've loved all the other things that she's written, but I don't know if it's the scenery or if it's the character she's starting to bring out.
It's
But
because she's a redhead.
but she's got green eyes. Well, I kind of green eyes. Well, okay, that might be it. But on top of that, I like the era that she's writing in, even though a whole lot of it hasn't come in yet. But just about the homestead situation, and all that to say, I'm really excited to read more about this. I really don't have any meat. I know that it's not completely polished anything right now. I had one question about, she had gamblers screaming out there. I didn't know if she needed to add names or if she could just leave it as gamblers. So it has nothing to do with anything. That was just a question I have. I literally don't have any meat.
When you have a word count goal, maybe every
Oh,
gambling counts, first, middle, and last name of every person that you mentioned.
Yes. And also son of blah, blah. Yeah.
Tina, what did you think?
I really like the story and where it's going. I love reading cowboy stories and that time in history. If I have to have romance along with it, I'll take it. I love that you said that she had that. How did you word it? The light lilting
Irish accent.
The Irish accent, because my father's parents immigrated from Ireland, and my grandmother had that. Like her whole life, she had an Irish accent.
Cool.
First adult I ever heard say a curse word in her light Irish lilt. So it was
not nearly as offensive as a.
No, and I think that she actually pronounced it with a hard I instead of a short I.
Oh, okay. Well, I know what you're talking about then.
So it wasn't really a curse word, right?
Right.
Right. So anyway, I love that description because then on out, anytime she talked, I heard that. Mm-hmm. I heard that Irish accent. I did get a little bit confused when he was like kind of going back and forth between remembering and what was happening right now. But I'm not sure that's the writing, because when I read it again, I wasn't confused. It might have been just me being distracted by something.
That's always very tricky to me, because when you're writing a very long section of past tense, at some point in there in the narrative, you can switch over to having it feel more like present tense. Like you stop saying, I had wanted to pour myself a drink of water, and you say, I wanted to pour myself do you know what I mean? And so the point where you choose to flip from talking about I had wanted to do, I had done this and whatever. And so, yeah, I had kind of caught that too and made my own suggestion of to how she could fix it. But then you don't know how much she really even needs to hear that, because she would catch it on her first edit through, maybe. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
So I almost hesitated to mention it, but I did. I was a little confused, and I had the question when he said that he didn't need the water after all, from buying the property. I wanted to know why. So that's just kind of like me as a reader wishing she would have told us why. Like, did he find water that they didn't know was there?
And I'm sure she would want to know when she goes through to edit that these questions are there, which is why I have feedback that I do.
Right. So those were my little meaty things. But overall, I think this is a great story, and I love these characters, and I want to know more.
Yeah.
So, Rhonda, were you trying to chime in as I was like talking right over you, or?
Oh no, you weren't. I was trying to talk over you, and I was unsuccessful.
Nice try.
I'll work harder next time. Okay. So I noticed that time jump too, that it confused me once I got reading farther down. And I wasn't going to mention it because when I went back up to see what I'd missed, I realized I did miss something. So I don't know, maybe she could just add a little bit more. Well, anyway, you guys have suggestions for her. So anyway, since it bothered the two of you, I will chime in and say me as well. But as far as the water goes, I think that was because he wasn't willing to sacrifice this woman's life so that he could have that particular water. I think that's what that was.
No, he said that he didn't buy the place, but God had supplied the water anyway that he needed. So I just wanted to know how that happened. So.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. I didn't understand what you were saying then.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so I will say that my bread is that I love this main character. He's more on the broody side of things, as far as like, no women ever. Well, maybe this one girl, you know what I mean? And so I like that. That's way better for me. I'm Team John as opposed to Team Will, and this guy's more in that flavor. He's tough and he's rugged and all that kind of. I like this main character guy. That's totally my bread. And also, along with both of you, I really like the feel of this, I mean, it's really a great, the whole thing is very yummy and terrific. Obviously she's got some weird thing going with her computer where every time she types TL or TI, it's just absent, which, I mean, obviously she's going to see that in editing, but it's like, I wonder what's going on with the computer that is happening to her, whatever. So I'm like, well, I'm going to stop correcting all of these because this is obviously annoying. Okay. So I do want to say, as a wish list going through when you edit and plump out this piece, he says, oh, I decided I'm never going to fall in love with anyone before, but this girl is different. Well, why? He's only seen her. So I don't like that he just because she's a redheaded Irish who talks like his mother, which is a little creepy. Because the only two things that we know about her that are appealing is that she sounds like his mother and she's attractive. And yet he's like, she's different from every girl I ever met. And I'm like, come on, really? So what? What about her? Why? Is it her feistiness? Like something, not just like, but she's different than every other girl. You know what I mean? And so maybe I just have to say, well, that's what romance is all about. And I have to just give it a pass. But better if, because my comment is question mark. He's only seen her. Is it her accent? She has a uniqueness to her that no woman ever before had possessed. What uniqueness? You know what I mean?
You're being too logical. You need to go with your hormones.
Yeah, then in that case, if it's just romance readers won't care, then fine. Then I had one other piece of meat, and then that is it, because it was really, really amazing. I think it was more to do with, like, at the end. Hold on. Oh, I expected the piece to transition into what is different now that Denny is dead. So he's like, well, now that Denny's dead, things are all different. Well, why? So I'm like, why does he now want to own land, or does he? Or do you just mean now he has to come here and pay respects to the darling widow? So like just a little bit, where is this that I made this comment in the piece? Okay, that is until Denny McGuire decided to get himself killed and then just total random switch to a different topic. It would have been like, that is until Denny McGuire decided to get himself killed and I had to saddle up and come down here and pay my, just a little extra, this much would have been great to help with the transition. And then,
it wasn't enough for you to just think that, well, now she's eligible again?
Well, I guess I'm just not a romance reader because I didn't even go there. I'm just like, so what's different? He's dead. Like, so now, okay, so then say, and now that pretty little thing is a widow. And what am I supposed to do about that? Like something, because it's like, it just would be yummy, I think. And maybe it's just a reader request that you can ignore and it will still be fine. But I think there's an opportunity there. Let's put it that way.
Okay. I can dig it.
I think that is all of my meat. I love this. And so anyway, I put a lot of stuff in here, but it's just because it's the first draft, I'm sure. Like she is had instead of hats, but like, come on. It's a nano project. So yeah, great. Should we let her out? We're just forgetting that we have to let her talk too.
Do we really?
All right.
All
Thank
right,
you guys
fine.
so much. Like first of all, really, really great meat. Like really great critique, and I really appreciate that. But second of all, I really just need to say that I really just need to hear that you guys liked it, because this was my frustration all month. I thought it was terrible. I thought this was a horrible story, and it was never going to be a story, and I was just forcing it, and so that helped me more than you guys even know. Just to even hear all three of you say that individually. So thank you very much for that. Lots of great questions. The reason Gamblers is all cap is I'm not sure that was going to be his addiction. I'm not sure what his problem is. Like it was a sprint. So, okay, he's in debt. All right. You know, and like I hadn't planned this well, like I should have. So Gamblers makes sense. Gambling might make sense. I don't know. Like check that out.
And it goes with the time.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. The Irish lilt. I hate novels that write Irish or other languages, but Irish people that sound like the Lucky Charms character, you know, like, because if you write what an Irish person says, it looks like what an American person says. They just have an accent. So there's a few things that I will put in there that will look a little different the way she pronounces things, but mostly it's just going to look straight up. And I just feel like that's the better way to write a character without like, you know, insulting anyone.
I thought you really nailed it. Like FER for four, for example, but not like every vowel being tweaked or whatever.
I try to do that with Michigan accent too when I wrote in my in the Love and Lansing series. I don't know if you guys noticed that or not, but I just put a little bit in for some characters. But why does he not need the water? That's a great question. Like ultimately in my mind, like he just was able to do it without having more property, but you know, it's a sprint. So, but it's a good question. I'm gonna have to address. Team John, LOL, Jamie. I'm sorry there were so many mistakes in it. Like I know that it was a sprint, but I feel bad there were that many things that was stopping you. I should have looked it over better. I thought I did, but I took and exported it straight from Scrivener to a PDF, and usually I'll put it to Word first and see all the blue lines because Scrivener doesn't catch everything. And I didn't do that this time, so I'm really sorry that there was.
It's so weird when you look at it. It's like your keyboard is broken. That's okay, but it looks like your keyboard is broken every time you wrote like little LITTL. The T and the L would be gone, or you write. It was weird. The T and the I. Did you guys not have that in your copy?
I think it's when did you try to copy and paste it into something else?
Oh,
that's why. I did. I was gonna copy and paste it into something else, and it did that, and so I just went back and just read it right in Dropbox the way that she uploaded it. Because it's not like that when it's uploaded into Dropbox.
Yeah, I feel a lot better. I thought I was a moron.
I feel better too.
Yeah,
something
because
about copying and pasting it changed the format somehow.
Yeah, it's weird. Okay, so anyway, that's not really as big of an issue. Hooray!
Right. And why is she different to him? Okay, so let's talk about that for a while. Is that common in romance, and is that like completely probable for a romance reader? Yes. Am I that type of romance writer, or do I try to elevate it more? Yes. So I think that's a very good point that you bring up, Jamie. I might leave it. I may not. I might try to elevate it a little bit more. Why is she different? I don't know. It was a sprint.
Just as an idea, like
Yeah.
maybe, okay, so again, a little creepy, like, well, you remind me of my mother, but it could be more like those good Irish girls back home, or the nostalgia for that country, or just, do you know what I mean? Like she's not just a little Irish lass, she is Ireland to him, or something like that, maybe.
Yeah, in my mind, he's not from Ireland. His mom is. But this girl is straight from Ireland. In my mind, when you said feisty, that's what I imagine her as. But over these past 5 years, being married to this guy, it's kind of beaten that down in her. And so that's gonna be her character arc, is coming back to like who she is, and like
I like it.
repairing, who God made her to be, and accepting, that, basically kind of forgiving God for putting her through this. And
here's another idea. So maybe he's like, wow, she answered the door and she's all alone. What if she comes to the door and she has a gun just in case, right? And so then he's like,
that might be another
scene.
Showing
up with a gun.
That might be another scene. So I can't do that.
Oh,
I already have that in another scene.
So,
she needs to do something feistier in the first scene, so that he's like, put back on his, but I want him, like, I wanted to do something feisty, but it not like scare him off. Him be like, and then
what if from a distance something comes to threaten her chickens or whatever, and he watches her be like, get out of here, whatever, and so it's like an encounter. I don't know, just something that he observes about her that maybe isn't even whatever. So anyway, there's a lot you can do. You're the role.
And there's something to be said for chemistry too.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just meet somebody and there's chemistry there. And so maybe even just a description of how that chemistry is affecting him.
That's kind of what I was going for, but again, like, this is a rough draft. But yeah, that's kind of what I was going for. I just kind of thought that he's just going to be one of those guys that thinks no woman is ever going to, like, again, he's never going to be, a fool again. And then all of a sudden this woman like has such an effect on him in just a few moments that he's like, nope, and like goes running for the hills. It's
and you can like, even say like, women's appearance never affects me this way. Like
something, yeah.
I don't, so that it's kind of confusing to him. Like, why is he reacting this way?
And that why is it different now that Denny has died? I don't know. It's a sprint, but no, I mean, in my mind, it was kind of like, well, he had to go to the funeral. If this guy hadn't died, he would have had us go to this wake or whatever. But I know that I did not communicate that well. So again, that's great meat that I can go back with and fix that. And I really, really appreciate you ladies.
And really, it sounds like you're taking the meat in the spirit that it's offered, me knowing that this is your first pass through, and it really just being like stuff that I saw, but really I think that you may have seen it yourself. It was just kind of like good to talk about, I think.
Yeah, and it's good stuff. I think that, like, I might not have noticed the whole, like, what does it matter if Denny's dead? Like, to me, it's just like, well, of course you get it. Well, no, I didn't communicate that well. So, no, it's good stuff. I appreciate you, ladies.
Awesome.
Did you say this was, it's around the Civil War, right? Is it before or after, or have you? Right after? You were just talking about Denny's backstory, and just a suggestion for you, you can use or not, it doesn't matter to me. But, there's a lot of gold rushing going on. And, so you got the 49ers in California, you got the 59ers at Pikes Peak in Colorado, and he very well could have been one of them. And if he's a gambler anyway, so maybe he could have hit a little bit of gold if he's got this great land. So that could just be part of his backstory. So maybe
he struck it. The 59ers. That's cool. I didn't know that.
Just think of Jennifer from the past and how much fun she would have having them out panning for gold.
Yeah.
And
yeah, maybe he's trying to strike gold in Texas. Who knows?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe he found a piece of quartz on the ground in this land and said, I have to buy this homestead because there's gold here. And of course, we know there's no gold rush in Texas.
All right. It's all good stuff. Love it.
Maybe somebody saw some pyrite in the river.
Yes.
Well, I'm very excited about this series, Jen. Do you need more from us or have questions? Or
Nope. I feel well fed. Thank you, ladies. My back is not hungry anymore.
Okay, my turn to go into isolation. I feel like there will be a comment that comes, and I want to see if that is true. So that is basically why I submitted this, and so I would like to just hear what you think. Okay, bye.
I don't think I got enough information from her.
All right. The one
I want
comment
to be the
she's
one to make
waiting
the
for.
comment.
The comment she's waiting for is transaction. Just
Oh,
you have to watch
That
the
one's-
podcast to get that. Okay. I love it. I
Mhm.
mean, like I got to the end. For some reason, I thought I read in her description at the top, her instructions, but I missed that it was the beginning. So for some reason, I thought it was a short, like a flash fiction. It was going to be completely done. So then when it was done, I was like, what?
Mm.
I'm not satisfied. I want more about this character. And then I read it again at the beginning. I'm like, oh, good. I'm going to get more. I love the conversation she has with imaginary Trudy. I put a little heart next to that. She says, I knit, she told imaginary Trudy, and I read. Imaginary Trudy rolled her imaginary eyes. You must be great at parties. So good. Like, that's so funny. I just really, really love that. And it makes me love this character that she talks to herself, because all great people do. Just saying.
Well, sometimes you need expert advice.
Right.
Right.
Or, I'm having a staff meeting. If I'm a writer, this is my board right
Parent-teacher
here.
conference.
Parent-teacher conference. I really don't have any meat. I feel bad saying that. Like, as I'm going through this, I wasn't crazy about Minxie Pepperdine's name, though. I know that she really likes like unusual names, but to me, it was almost like, for me, it was a little too maybe hokey. But then again, it is a cool name, so I know she's not gonna change it. But that's really the only meat I have. I'm really, really digging for meat here.
And I'm not sure yet. Like, is this supposed to be kind of a funny story, or is this supposed to be a more serious story? Because if it's kind of be like a tongue-in-cheek kind of story, then I think the Pepperdine name is perfect. But it's supposed to be more serious, then I think maybe, no, I don't know.
I mean, my first answer would have been, well, of course it's going to be funny. I mean, she uses, Minxie as a name, but then, I mean, really, as you read it, it really could be a more, I mean, it could be going down a whole different road.
It kind of has a depressed feel to it a little bit, but then it also has some potential to be funny. So I wasn't quite sure what it was going to turn out. So like the only clue we have is that name, Minxie Pepperdine, which to me is hilarious.
Right.
So.
Okay, my turn.
Yeah.
All right. I don't have any meat either. Okay, I remember reading part of this. I don't know if she was telling us about it, if she read it, or if she gave it to us to read, or maybe it was just me. I don't know, but I loved it then, and I love it now. And okay, as far as it being a satirical piece or whatever, I think it just is in everyday life and just strange observations that make it funny. Is not what I want to call it, but I love the observations because they're a little bit wacky and they're
maybe
not
ironic.
the typical ironic, maybe. But I just love the way that this character is like a robot and she's just brushing her teeth. And also, I do want to know, is she brushing her teeth in the shower? Because I know some people do that, but that has always been so weird to me to hear that people do that.
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought too. I was like,
yeah, but she might, because that might be the most efficient way to do it. Because I think this woman is very efficient, very habitual, and just blah. And her life is robotic. And then when she gets in the car and the story, I love it. I just think that she's really in for some big changes in her life. And I can't wait to read the rest of this. I hope this isn't one of her 2,500 word stories, because I'm pretty invested in this lady's life. As far as Minxie goes, I think it's the perfect name for this story, for this that person that she works with. I love it. I have no meat for this. I'm sorry. I don't know if she wants any or not, but I don't have any.
Well, my meat was that it ended.
All right.
Well, yes.
I would have liked a little bit more to read for this time, like a little bit more satisfaction. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I really, I'm just like, oh, she's in trouble now. She's listening to this thing and it's speaking right to her. And where's it going to go now?
Yep. Yep. I just can't wait to find out what is going to get thrown in this woman's lap to make her change all these habits.
Right.
That are keeping her life so boring.
Yeah, you know something has to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, should we let her out?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, Jamie.
Okay, well, who could really complain about that? You submit something and people tell you, well, there's nothing wrong, that's wonderful. I'm really glad, because really what I thought you guys were going to say is, well, if it wasn't hers, I probably wouldn't have kept reading, because I wondered if it was really boring, because not a whole lot happens. You know what I mean? It's very much opening of a story that is setting a scene and introducing you to a character. And that kind of tends to be how I like stories to start. But it seems to be, you know, if you ask someone how you start a story, well, you should start off with action, or you should. And so I kind of was not trusting my instincts or whatever. And then part of it, like if I did get that feedback, I might be like, well, to heck with expectations, because I'm me, I'm not whoever writers. And if this is the story that I have, this is the story that I have. But I just didn't know if it was boring, right? Because you ask yourself and you think, just like Jennifer, like, this is terrible and nobody would care about this. And you just want to know if your perception is in some way skewed about it, right? And this would be interesting to me, I think, because it's very hard to remove yourself and say, let's say I stumbled across somebody's story and picked it up and started to read it. Would I keep reading? Like, to me, I would keep reading, but is it enough? Are there enough people out there that would keep reading it?
Yep.
I guess
I'll tell you that her life, it was just, you put the perfect amount of monotony in there, and just everything that she did was just so vanilla, which is a bad description because vanilla ice cream is my favorite. But I kept reading because I wanted to find out something's going to change here and it's going to be great. So,
but you threw enough things in, like, we all noticed that she brushed her teeth in the shower.
Yeah.
Like, that's not, I'm not saying that's like gross or anything. It's just something that we don't do, at least. And so, like, you throw enough pieces in there in your writing that we're like, what? So, like, it's not, you take something that could be vanilla, using Rhonda's word, and you make it like so much better. But yet I don't know why you thought we weren't going to keep reading. So
I think it comes down to characterization.
Yeah.
Because any other story with the same exact things happening, if you didn't feel connected to the character, you would be like, yeah, this is boring. Like, why do I care? But from the start, I felt connected to that character. And so maybe the reason you feel like it's boring is because the character's life is boring and you're connecting with the character.
Well, let's hope so. And it sounds like that is the case. So I really do appreciate it. And I know the thing is, I know that you guys would tell me, and because, you know, I've submitted stuff before, and Jen's like, well, you know, I kind of slogged through it, but because I had to, and I want that. I want to know. Do you know what I mean? And so it's really great to not have gotten that feedback.
Yeah.
That's really
I'm really not done yet. So just hang on a second. Okay. So, I honestly, the first time I was hooked is when she said, every day for the 5 years, she's been doing the same, saying the same phrases when she gets out of bed. And so I was first hooked by that, thinking, oh, wow, is something bad happen to her? Does something really great happen to her? Is this when she retired? What made that change that she would start doing this habit right then? And then when she started with all these other habits, that made me more interested to learn more about her. So it wasn't
very
just that. Okay.
Because she did. There was a life event. Yeah, and you find out more about it as you read along.
And it's almost like this repetitive behavior that makes her feel grounded, like a
right
kind of thing going on.
Yep.
That gives you empathy for the character.
Wow, you guys are very perceptive readers. Well, thank you so much.
Sorry.
I appreciate it. Well, thanks for the feedback. My back is very well fed. Do you ladies have anything to add to our Patreon audience other than tell your friends to join us?
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
And then we appreciate you. We really appreciate everyone who does subscribe.
Yes.
It really helps us.
And if there's something that you want us to do or say or you want to see, let us know.
Not in like the truth or dare sort of fashion. Not like
right. Like
Jennifer, I would like you to wear a clown hat for the entire postcast on the you know, something like that. I guess if you're willing to, yeah, for like $5 a month instead of $2 a month, maybe we can, you know.
I meant in the context of critiquing each other's work.
Oh goodness.
All right, this has been fun, ladies.
Yeah, lots of fun. Have a nice day with your aunt. You ladies all have a great week.
All right.
Yep, you too.
Bye.
Bye.